Hey folks, so before we get into today's project, I want to talk about the sponsor of the video, which of course is Squarespace. Which, when you think about it, is kind of strange because they're a digital company focused on website creation and I'm an analog fine art conservator. So it kind of seems odd that they'd want to be involved with me. I mean, all the work that I do is behind the scenes and in honor of somebody else's vision, the artist, of course. But when you think about it, all of the work Squarespace does is behind the scenes too. All of their super tech is completely invisible. And they're also working in honor of somebody else's vision, yours, be it your business, your artwork, or just your personal hobby. So it begs the question, are we the same? So by now, most of you know about Squarespace and how they have thousands upon thousands of beautiful mobile-friendly templates for you to use however you see fit, from portfolios to blogs or to running your own business. They've got something for you, with search engine optimization, analytics, plugins for social media, mobile editing, and a new Squarespace video app so that you can create dynamic content. But did you know how much they help all of the creators who are in their ecosystem? They have a really powerful help center with resources from simple to complex to make sure that any question you have doesn't go unanswered. And if that's not enough for you, well, they have webinars where you can watch Squarespace pros put into action what you want to do. And if that's not enough, there is a community forum where you can ask questions of people just like you and get specific answers, once again, so that you're not left stranded. And if that wasn't enough, you can always reach out to Squarespace and get in touch with a real live human for assistance. Once again, proving that though they're behind the scenes, they are working tirelessly to uphold and honor your vision. So head over to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/Baumgartner to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. So I get why Squarespace is a sponsor. I mean, that, or somebody over there really likes dad jokes and mediocre puns. We are taught that things do not matter, that stuff is merely that and can be replaced. And what is important in life are people, places, and experiences. We try to rid ourselves of emotional attachments to the things that come to own us. Our clothes, which we know we'll wear and we will outgrow. Our cars that inevitably will fall into disrepair and no longer be useful. The trinkets that scatter our homes collecting dust, and the structures themselves, which may suffer the unrelenting force of time and nature, and ultimately yield to that torrent. This approach is born out of wisdom and self-preservation, because all things will eventually return to dust, regardless of how much we care about them, how much we scream into the void, and how important they are to us. To survive, we must hold the ability to detach from things and watch them float down the river, lest they take us with. This is a lesson that if we are fortunate in our lives, we never have to feel viscerally. One we may simply accept intellectually, but avoid the trauma of experience. But for some of us, that is not the case, and we must balance that ledger when the bill comes due. It is a hard lesson, and one that is not accepted easily, but for the most enlightened of us. Us mere mortals kick and scream and fight with all our might. And while it may seem tragic or sad to watch someone lament the loss of a chair to a hurricane, a vase to a flood, or a painting to a fire, it is anything but. For the objects that we are told are replaceable are often not. Certainly, the chair can be replaced, and the vase substituted with another. Even the painting can be recreated or traded for a facsimile. But in that seemingly restorative act, something is lost. The objects that we're told own us, that hold us from enlightenment, do matter. Stuff is not merely stuff, and while yes, people, places, and experiences do reign supreme, things matter. These objects that color our lives do not merely add texture to empty rooms and bare walls. These objects are avatars for loved ones long gone. They are vessels for memories and a catalyst for the emotions that send us into a reverie otherwise unattainable. These objects simply cannot be replaced. A new chair doesn't smell like Dad. The replacement vase has no history of holding flowers that told the stories of weddings, funerals, and surprise gestures. And the substitute painting cannot retrieve the memories and wonder of seeing it in our grandparents' homes as children. These objects affect within us what it means to be human, what defines us and makes our lives worth living. If, in the face of adversity, we merely let our grip ease, we will lose more than a thing. And so, for this family, who suffered a fire that took from them their home, their clothes, their cars, furniture, photos, trinkets, and countless other things that occupied space both in the dwelling and in their lives, to find this painting under rubble, covered in soot and construction debris, yet still in one piece, was a miracle. So precious was this painting that they held on to it for over a year before deciding that it was time to attempt a rescue. Understandably, caution was high, and apprehension about even attempting to conserve the piece was heavy. For the thought that this painting might not be salvageable felt like it would be a hammer blow, one they might not withstand. But with hope, optimism, faith, and trust, they handed the painting to me and held their breath. The process of conserving this painting first began by gathering data, both from the owners of the painting and the painting itself. We knew about the fire, the copious amounts of soot that the painting was exposed to, potential water damage, and all of the debris that fell on and made contact with the painting. We began by testing the surface of the painting to determine how easily that grime could be removed and what would be the best approach. We tested the painting to determine if there was a varnish layer that also needed to be removed. In this case, there was none. We also tested the paint to determine how it would withstand the various cleaning approaches that we had at our disposal. In the beginning of the video, you might have caught several small squares on the edges that looked significantly brighter than the rest of the painting. Those were the tests, and those tests informed the cleaning process and how we chose to go about this conservation. By using a neutral organic soap, we were able to solubilize the soot and then lift it off with cotton balls. At various points, a bristle brush was used to agitate the heavy layer of soot and grime and free it from the painting surface. Working methodically, section by section, going through and trying to limit the area we cleaned to a workable and manageable size, we were able to remove all of that accumulated soot and grime. And as we did, we started to see what this painting actually looked like. Certainly, we could get an idea of what it was through the soot, but to see it without all of that soot and grime on top, well, we can imagine how important this scene was to the owners. Maybe teleporting them back to a time of childhood when this was their home and their lake. Maybe it brought back memories of holidays and family gatherings. Maybe it was a painting of their children now grown, and this memory stands sweeter than most. Maybe it was just a painting that they enjoyed looking at, that brought a sense of happiness to their home and filled the room with life. Whatever the case, it was our responsibility to bring it back. What was once merely a thing, thought of as disposable and replaceable, transcended that existence and became more. Yet in an instant, all of that was threatened and almost lost. The charge of the conservator is not only to work for the artist and enable their artistic expression to be sustained, but to ensure that all of the emotion, memory, and raw visceral feeling that can be raised within us when we encounter an object so special that our hearts flutter has the power to affect us indefinitely. That this thing crosses the plane of mere tangible token and becomes something more, something without narrow confines, and something that makes our lives just a little more colorful, may just be a testament not to the thing, but to ourselves.